We're taking a peek into geek culture and sharing our top 10 fandom favorites. Let Your Geek Side Show presents Geek Culture Countdown. Hi guys, this is Kitty.
And I'm Batman.
No, you're not.
But can't I be Batman?
I mean, I
These
guess
are
you could,
DC villains, so...
They're not all villains. Some of them are heroes.
Whatever. Anti-heroes at best.
Okay, who am I talking with? Susan. Hey guys, welcome back to the Geek Culture Countdown. So today we're going all natural with our list of top 10 DC... Don't do that! You can't do that!
Okay, go ahead. We're going all natural, apparently.
You can't make those faces at me. Well, yes, we're going all natural because this is our top 10 DC characters with environmentally based powers, which there's no like fun way to say that because
we kicked around
like,
about
water powers, like earth powers.
And I like that you were like, does it sound better if I call them natural powers? And I was like, no.
So these are DC characters, both heroes and villains, with environmental powers. So whether by land or by sea, these comic book heroes and villains have gotten in touch with their wild sides, making them true forces of nature in the DC universe.
I wish you guys could see this dance she's doing while she's introducing this.
Look, I like this list. It's a cool list.
It's a cool list. It's an awesome topic. I don't think it's been covered a whole lot.
There's not that many to choose from. So, I mean, we'd love to hear the ones that we left off the list, but there's not a whole ton we left off the list.
So this might be the list, like the go-to list
This
eventually.
is the definitive list.
It's not, though. It's just Kitty and I messing around.
So without further ado, let's get started. So number 10 on our list is Black Orchid. So Black Orchid is actually a character I'm not too familiar with, but I discovered her over the course of researching this. This is a mantle used by 4 different superheroines throughout DC Comics. And she's changed multiple times over the course of her history. She's had multiple backstories. And in one of her series, she actually became the villain and died by the end of the solo series. So Black Orchid is a human-plant hybrid with powers of strength, flight, and the ability to absorb nutrients from the air and generate pheromones. As the part of the New 52, she became linked to the forces of the red and the green, which will come up several times during this list.
Yeah, and that's how I know who she is. And I was like, wow, I wish I flipped 9 and 10 since you just schooled me on who 9 is and I know who 10 is. Great. Anyway.
Whoopsie daisy.
Oh well.
Yeah, but so it was cool how more of these characters start to become connected as the New 52 introduces the red and the green. So Black Orchid is number 10 on our list.
Number 9 is Floronic Man, who is an enemy of Swamp Thing, also known as Jason Woodrue. He has 3 different first appearances because he first made his appearance in the Atom comics in 1962, so he's kind of an old school character. He then made an appearance as Floronic Man in The Flash in 1976, so 14 years later, and then again as the Cedar, which is another alias of him, in Swamp Thing 21 in 1984. So he crosses decades. He's also, according, you were telling me, he's the reason Poison Ivy is Poison Ivy.
Yes.
Now in her new, reimagined backstory. So Floronic Man made the list. He has plant powers, as one might guess from his name. But he's also usually a member. He can be a member of a group as well as gone by the alias Plant Master.
That's an upgrade.
So yeah, I know. You went from Floronic Man to the Plant Master. It sounds like an evolution of Pokemon.
Yes.
But instead it's DC Comics. So number 9 is Floronic Man.
So number 8 is Red Tornado, but I also wanted to kind of give a shout out because there's other characters that were added later into Red Tornado's story that kind of master all the elements. So Red Tornado is an android created by Professor T.O. Morrow as one of several experiments to harness elemental powers. He actually appeared on a previous podcast we did of underrated DC characters. So you guys can...
I love Red Tornado.
So you guys can check that out after this.
Man, did I choose the wrong numbers? I should have chosen Red Tornado.
Yeah, usually we, just so you guys know, behind the scenes of the podcast, we draw straws on okay, you're going to take... We like to do every other.
And the odds and stuff like that.
And we try to match each other with characters that we're familiar with, but I guess we kind of messed up on this one. Yeah. So Red Tornado possesses aerokinesis, which is air manipulation, as you might guess by his name. And his true form is a powerful entity composed entirely of wind force. He can produce cyclones from his arms and legs. He can fly. And his android siblings include the hydrokinetic Red Torpedo, which is water power, the pyrokinetic Red Inferno, and the geokinetic Red Volcano. So Red Tornado and his ilk take number 8 on our list.
Number 7 on our list is a villain that is actually several. I didn't know this because mostly my my knowledge of this character comes from Batman the Animated Series.
That's what I
thought. Number 7 on this list is Clayface, but Clayface is an alias used by several supervillains. I did not realize that. I thought it was just like the one who's made of clay. However, he or she, because it's been both men and women. So far, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people have taken up the mantle of Clayface at one time or the other. And they go all the way back to 1940 in Detective Comics 40 was the first Clayface. And the most recent Clayface was Johnny Williams in 2005. So there were 6 more in between there, men and women. Clayface is notably a shapeshifter who can change into anything. Even though sometimes it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Clayface can take the shape of anything, which makes him or her see, now I have to do the him or her, since women have taken up this mantle as well. They are a formidable villain, and one that can best Batman and really test his detective skills is to figure out the who's who and who's real and who's not.
There was a really cool use of Basil Karlo Clayface in the DC Bombshells, the second series, like after when they went to the like American side of things and they had all the Wonder Girls, and I think it was I think it's Bombshells United. They got some really cool use out of Clayface and like silver materials in the soil and how that affected him and stuff. And so that's definitely worth a read if you're looking for some like interesting little Clayface arcs.
Basil's was originally an actor as well, so it made sense that he could like take on the different personalities like before he became Clayface. So he was like an actor, and so that helped him when he became Clayface. So number 7 on the list is Clayface.
All right. Well, while we're down in the dirt, number 6 on our list is Terra. And as we're kind of finding out in this podcast, quite a few of these names do get passed around from a lot of heroes to one another. So Terra is the name used by several heroines in DC Comics, most notably Terra Markov from the Teen Titans series, and then later Atlee. The second Terra was actually a doppelganger of Terra Markov, so I'm kind of lumping them together. But every Terra has been a powerful geokinetic, able to manipulate the Earth, as you might guess from her name. Terra Markov is also the half-sister of the hero Geoforce. She got her powers from scientific experiments, and then Atlee comes from a race of aliens called the Stratons who live under the Earth, and she has a rare genetic mutation granted by an ore called Quixium, and that's where her Earth-based powers come from. So I think a lot of people really, really like Atlee. Terra Markov has kind of a checkered past, especially in the Judas Contract for DC Comics, but she's still a cool character. But I know a lot of people now think of Atlee when they think of Terra. And so all the different Terras are number 6 on our list.
So now we get to the honorable mention. And yes, the honorable mention. Okay, so the honorable mention is Mr. Freeze from Batman. We chose him as the honorable mention not because we don't love him as a villain, because I personally think he's an amazing villain. However, his powers are not natural or environmental so much as they are technological and cryogenic. Because what he is a cryogenics expert who is trying to save the life of his wife Nora. And a disaster lowers his body temperature to the point where he has to wear a specific suit in order to survive. And then he uses the tech that he creates to freeze things. And while ice and ice powers would count on this list, the fact that they come from technology and from mechanical sources make him our honorable mention as opposed to being on our actual list.
Yeah, he's harnessing nature in a slightly different way than most of the other characters.
Yeah, I liked when I was explaining it, and I was like, it's like the difference between a snowfall and a refrigerator.
Yes, exactly.
So that's not a number. So number
honorable mention.
So number honorable mention on our list is Mr. Freeze.
And then you've got...
I've got also number 5 on our list, which is Animal Man.
Woohoo!
I had never picked up an Animal Man comic before the New 52, and then Jeff Lemire takes over in the New 52, and I became the biggest Animal Man fan in the world. Animal Man is... and Okay, so he has a couple different origins, but like the most common one is he was in proximity to an explosion of an extraterrestrial spaceship. His name is Buddy Baker, and he can temporarily borrow the abilities of animals. Things like he can fly, he borrows a bird's flight, or like the strength of an ant, or
How exactly does he borrow? Because my brain immediately went to him saying, "Hey, Mr. Bumblebee, could I like borrow those wings for like a quick sec?"
Like his name is Buddy Baker, and you can totally tell that he was like he came up in like the 50s and 60s because he is a very polite character, and I loved that Jeff Lemire brought that into Animal Man as well. But yeah, and then he also has access to the red, which is part of the whole red and green Swamp Thing type situation. And yeah, he when he borrows, sorry, I didn't answer your question. When he borrows the powers, he's still human, but all of a sudden he takes flight.
Oh, okay.
Or he can lift something.
Cool.
And so in classic comic book form, like, that's really all the explanation you really get. Like, he just borrows the powers. He doesn't necessarily.
I promise I'll bring it back.
Yeah, it's like I don't even remember if he has to be in proximity of said animal, because I know that I've seen him be a tiger before, and I'm pretty sure there wasn't a tiger with him when he was a tiger.
You can't always have a tiger handy.
Yeah, like where's a tiger when you need one, right? So yeah, number 5 on our list is Animal Man.
All right, and number 4 on our list, which just sounds like we're making things up, is Beast Boy. Sounds like we just flipped out the thesaurus.
These are totally different.
These are 2 totally different characters.
Yeah, and they have totally different powers.
They do. So where Animal Man borrows the abilities of animals, Beast Boy becomes the animal. So Garfield Logan became Beast Boy after contracting a rare and lethal disease. His parents were scientists, and they were living in Africa, and they found he contracted this deadly disease that only a specific breed of West African green monkeys were immune to. And so his parents decided that to save his life, they would try to rewrite his DNA so that it was more like the West African green monkey. And so the serum that they injected him with had the unintended side effect of not only turning him green, but giving him the metamorphic ability to become different animals, which are usually depicted as green versions of said animals. Mm-hmm. He's my favorite Teen Titan.
She may or may not have written. She wrote "Yay Beast Boy" or like something like "Beast Boy rules" in the notes.
I think I did. I said Beast Boy rocks.
Yeah, Beast Boy rocks.
So we were doing our list, and it was number 4, Beast Boy rocks.
Yeah.
Because, if you've listened to some of our podcasts before, I always do try to get references to the Teen Titans in there because they were extremely formative for me as a comic book fan. So interestingly enough, Beast Boy is green and has those animal powers, but in the New 52, he became red, and he had the connection to that mystic force of the red, which kind of deals more in like fauna than flora, because the green is for flora. And so, so he got a brief redesign that was red, but in most traditional media, he does appear green. In the new Titans series, he's got the green hair. And I actually haven't seen it yet. I hope to see it soon, but I'm pretty sure.
Hey, we were supposed to get one of those subscriptions together
I know,
and watch.
We need to do it.
We need to do that.
But I'm pretty sure the animals he turns into are green in the series, which is always
that's
fun.
what the footage, at least that I've seen, at least they have a greenish hue to them, even if they're not fully green.
Yeah, and that's always a throwback to the West African green monkey serum. So Beast Boy is number 4 on our list.
Number 3 on our list, he might not, well, I mean, I guess he is green, but he has contact with the green, and he is Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing also, many different people have taken up the mantle of Swamp Thing. Like, most of us think of Alex Holland as being like the Swamp Thing. However, in doing research for this, I've uncovered a lot of different Swamp Things. But since
there's a lot of swamps out there,
there's a lot of swamps out there, so there's a lot of things in those swamps. Anyway, Swamp Thing can inhabit and animate vegetation anywhere, including in alien plants, especially sentient ones. He can talk to them, and he can construct it into a body for himself. So he was, again, a scientist who fell to his own experimentation. And most people think of the Alan Moore Swamp Thing as the definitive Swamp Thing, but he did appear in House of Secrets before that, as well as several other comics like earlier than the Alan Moore versions. He was created by the late, great Bernie Wrightson and the late, great Len Wein. So,
yeah.
I mean...
And he's going to be the star of his own series on DC Universe soon.
I'm super stoked on that series.
I know. I'm excited to see like Abby Arcane and all
I know. And there's so many great characters that tie into Swamp Thing, including when Swamp Thing and Animal Man crossed over after the New 52. And Scott Snyder writing Swamp Thing in that whole series was fantastic as well. He really took inspiration from Alan Moore and the darkness that comes from, because Swamp Thing was always that character that made the choice to be the way that he is. Like, he could have saved his life in other ways, but this was just, to him, the only way to really save his family as well. And so I just think of him as like almost like a Frankenstein type tragic monster creature.
Yeah, definitely. And I think when they added elements of like, oh, there's this idea of the green and the red, and isn't there the black or the rot?
It's the rot.
The rot.
Yeah.
It just kind of it. Some people sometimes go, oh, but that demystifies this Swamp Thing character.
See, I thought
but
it connected them.
It adds more lore, and I think it's really cool that...
To me, the red and the black, sorry, I guess it is the black, but like the red and the green and the rot to me was like the Force. Like, I mean, but the red and the green are the light.
Right.
Because it just added another layer to, like you said, the mythology of it. And to me, it gave it a way for the characters to connect to one another and built that type of world in a way that hadn't been done before. So I really liked it.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool addition to the mythology, like you said that I said.
I did. So let's just keep saying that back and forth. Or we can move on, because number 3 was Swamp Thing.
All right, number 2 on our list. She's probably my favorite DC character overall.
I would say so, considering you have quite the formidable collection of her.
I do. So number 2 on our list is Poison Ivy. So Dr. Pamela Lillian Isley is one of Batman's deadliest rogues due to both her botanical knowledge and floral physiology. Neil Gaiman actually gave the character one of her revised backstories in 1988, in which Dr. Jason Woodrue, Floronic Man, injected her with poisons and toxins as an experiment, like you do.
Yeah.
And that transformed her and drove her mad. So she has the power to manipulate plant life, which later does become associated with a connection to the green, tying her to characters like Swamp Thing. She can secrete toxins and pheromones, and she's simultaneously immune to all pathogens and poisons. I also like her quote that she's immune to all toxins and poisons and the suffering of others. Go figure. And she's fantastic just because her villainy does really come from a desire to... Maybe she takes it a touch too far, but she really does want to protect the planet and give the planet back to the natural forces that it belongs to. So that's why a lot of her quote unquote, I mean, yeah, it is straight villainy, but a lot of her efforts are against the urbanization of the planet. And it's really cool because, I mean, she's also just a brilliant scientist. You get to see that in the series Poison Ivy's Cycle of Life and Death, which is a great little DC miniseries that I really enjoy.
Also in Batman the Animated Series, she's
absolutely
quite a brilliant Pamela Isley, being like one of the most awesome scientists in Gotham.
Yeah, and so she does obviously with her powers have a lot of sensuality to her, but it always comes back to that like Mother Nature's gonna step all over you and take back what you're borrowing and ruining for such a short time. And I just think she's such a fun character, and she is an anti-hero in some respects, but I do like her when she's just being a straight villain because she has her own agenda, and that's...
Yeah, she falls into that Gotham gray line that a lot of the villains fall into, that they're not really that bad because what they're doing is good. They're just kind of going about it the absolute terrible way.
So
anyway.
so that all those reasons and more are why Poison Ivy is number 2 on our list.
Now, number 1 on our list might seem like a cheap plug, but we haven't seen the movie yet. So, we can't possibly be plugging this. Number 1 is Aquaman.
Woohoo!
Mostly because, how do you not put the member of the Justice League, the ruler of the seven seas, the king of Atlantis? I'm pretty sure he has to be number 1 on the list.
Yeah.
He's from 2 worlds in most mythologies, most of his backstories.
And I have to say, I know he gets a bad rap a lot of times, just because people see him as like they're like
They
you're
see-
the,
well, they
you're
see
the guy
this-
who controls the ocean and the talking to fish.
Yeah,
That's the one
'cause
they
they-
always come back to.
Because they see the 1960s cartoon of him like in the Hall of Justice talking to the fish, but like
But
what
do you guys realize like how scary the ocean is and how many creatures are down there? I mean, if Aquaman can talk to them, like you
I
better
think-
hope he's on your side.
P.S. Just 2 words: Blackest Night. If y'all don't remember Blackest Night and what happened in the ocean on Blackest Night, especially when Mira went all Red Lantern on everyone, let's all take them. Like, if you haven't read that, maybe just Google it and look it up. Or if you have read it, revisit it, because that was a really, really scary thing. I never want dead whales coming at me. Because that's just scary. Anyway, so known as Arthur Curry to most people, he is king of Atlantis, the ruler of the 7 seas, and he has a lot of powers. They have played down in recent years the talking to fish, but I think it's more they've evolved the power into like an understanding of the harmony of the ocean that involves being able to understand and communicate with the life forms in it.
Yes, all the life forms.
Yeah, all the life forms. So
all the
it's
scary ones that you can't see.
it's not necessarily always like speaking to fish in that really comical way. It's more of just a harmonized evolution of that type of power. And beyond that, he's a really great fighter. He can breathe underwater. He's he's Arthur Curry.
He is a true force of nature.
Yes, absolutely. So that is how he became number 1 on our list.
Yeah, and apart from the side mention to Red Torpedo, he is the only character on this list who has aquatic powers. We
Right.
see a lot of people connected to plant life and to the earth itself. But oh my God, most of this planet is water, and you don't want to mess with the guy.
Yeah,
who
I know. Who can
navigate-
control
yeah.
all of the sea. So number 1 on our list is Aquaman.
All right. So, quickly to recap our list, our honorable mention is Mr. Freeze. Number 10 is Black Orchid. Number 9 is Floronic Man. Number 8 is Red Tornado. Number 7 is Clayface. Number 6 is Terra. Number 5 is Animal Man. Number 4 is Beast Boy. Number 3 is Swamp Thing. Number 2 is Poison Ivy. And number 1 is Aquaman. Woohoo! Woo! So, did we cultivate the perfect list of nature-powered heroes, or were our choices a little inorganic?
Oh my God.
If we missed someone that you think should be on our list, be sure to check out our blog and tell us your own favorites at geeksideshow.com. And that was our top 10 DC characters with environmental powers. Do you enjoy the Geek Culture Countdown? We are proud to bring you pop culture content completely ad-free, but that doesn't mean we don't need your support to help keep us going. Please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform and help spread the word about our podcast. We welcome fan feedback. Email us at podcasts@sideshow.com with your thoughts and suggestions for how we can make our shows even better. Plus, tune in for our other pop culture podcasts. See your favorite comic and film characters evolve across 2 generations in the bi-weekly Then and Now podcast. Hear exclusive interviews with celebrities and pop culture industry leaders as they let their Geek Side show in Look Who Showed Up. Then get all the latest pop culture news with our daily briefing, a 2-minute breakdown of all the biggest geek headlines perfect for your Alexa or Google News briefings. We wouldn't exist without your continued support. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to let your Geek Side show.